So the biggest thing that happened on the Kimura is occasionally as you started going back, they fell over. Okay, that's not a problem. We go to the top. That's a sweep. And then a lot of times the arm extended. So remember to strive to keep it at that 90-degree angle. Don't let it extend out. All right, the last one. This one is probably one of the most representative techniques of jiu-jitsu. And this is the triangle choke. So we started and we finished with a choke. We wanted to come full circle. The choke in jiu-jitsu, to me, is the ultimate of submissions. Most of the time, they don't require you to leave your position to finish them, and they put the person to sleep. I don't think there's a whole lot more you could do in a fight to say, okay, this person is disposed of, I can leave, than to put the person to sleep. You crank their shoulder a little bit, yeah, they hurt, but they're still alive. They're still up and fighting. You put them to sleep, it's over. You get up and you walk away. Okay? So this is the triangle choke. This is a choke from the bottom. So we're in the same position we just were. Maybe those arms weren't available. We got into our control, but we didn't see the arm in there. So I'm going to slide my elbow back to that position we were doing for Hubud, where it's in front of his arm. But instead of my arm coming under, my shin is going to come under. Again, a lot of times this happens when he makes a move, not when I force it. He decides he's going to pull his arm back and hit me with it. My shin comes in front of it. So instead of my arm, it's my own leg. Once I get here, I'm going to find that wrist control. You may choose to go back to the Kimura here, because now you have his wrist. But we're going to go for the choke instead. What I need to do is get this foot to pass through his arm. Sometimes I'll just wait for him to try to get his arm back. When he pulls it, there's the space, my foot comes through. If I need to force it, then I'm just going to push his wrist away, foot comes through. So now I have one leg over his shoulder, the other leg still under his armpit. This is where we need to end up. Okay, so again, we have control. Maybe we had collar and sleeve. We get our elbow in front of his arm, and then our shin in front of his arm. Once we do, we need the wrist to get some space for our foot to come through. Okay, let's do that over here. We have control, elbow in front, shin in front. Notice what I did that time. I moved myself away with that shrimp to get my shin in front of his bicep. Once I get there, you can put your foot right on his hip to keep it there, come down to his wrist. The whole time you're doing this, try to keep control of his head, either with the back of his head or with his collar to keep him from sitting up and getting out. This is the best. When you have the space, your foot comes through. You get to here. Now we're ready for the choke. Let's turn back around. The arm that I have in the choke, this one, I need to get to the other side of my body. So I'm going to come grab it with both hands. I can grab his sleeve, I can grab his wrist, but I need to grab it with both hands and not use my muscle to get it over, but use my body positioning. I'm going to elevate my hips, slide it over to the other side. When your hips are on the floor, you would have to lift his arm and get it across. When you lift your hips, his arm slides right across. Once you get it to the other side of your body, this is half of the choke. You have to get that arm across. The choke's going to be conducted with one of your legs against his neck and his own shoulder against the other side of his neck. This is why we need that arm over. So once it's there, we're going to grab his head. We're going to slowly slide back, grab our own shin to lock this in. Once we have it, we're going back to that triangle lock we used for half guard. This is why it's called the triangle choke. We're going to make a triangle with our legs. Once we're here, it's a matter of squeezing our legs together. We have one thigh on this side of his neck, his shoulder on this side. We lock it really tight. That grip is very similar to the way we grab for the rear naked choke. It's just done with our legs rather than our arms. You can grab the back of his head. You can grab your own leg. To help squeeze, you just pull him into you. This one, we don't lift our hips. That'll give him space to escape. We want to collapse, squeeze our legs together. It's a slow choke. A lot of times he'll feel nothing and then slowly start seeing stars and then he's gone. So it's a very slowly applied choke in most cases. Where it will be fast is if you have a bigger person where there's not any space inside the triangle. As soon as it locks, he'll feel it. But I have long legs and Matt's not huge. So there's a lot of space in my triangle that slowly gets taken away as I squeeze. Okay? Let's go back to the beginning. How do we get there? we need one of his arms between our legs. Sometimes that's as simple as he reaches back and he puts his arm between our legs. He's trying to pass our guard. Great. We lock it up. Now we have what we need. It doesn't necessarily need this fancy setup, but we end up here. We need the arm to come over to the other side. So I'm going to grab it, lift my hips, bring it over to the other side. From here, hold his head. If you can reach your shin already, that's fine. But we need to scoop back. We have too much of his chest and shoulder and back inside the choke. So we're going to wiggle ourselves back a little bit. And a lot of people really like to turn sideways at this point. Sometimes it helps to secure the choke. If you do, just make sure you don't shrimp sideways. You'll lose the choke. You want to stay flat. Bring this calf to the back of his neck and secure it with your own shin. Knee comes over ankle. I'm ready to squeeze. Remember, don't lift. Grab, pull him in. Grab his head, pull him in. Squeeze those legs together. One more time from the beginning. How are we going to get there? Either he puts it in for us or we got to get it in there. So elbow in front, shin in front. Foot comes free, lock it up. Now we're ready to go. First step, what do we need to do? Move that arm to the other side. Then we're going to wiggle. But we have to open our legs to do that, so we make sure we control his head. If we don't control his head, as soon as we let go to adjust, he's out. So that could be you grabbing your shin and you're wiggling sideways. Could be you're grabbing his head and you're going straight back. We just have to make a little bit of space. Now we grab our shin and lock our knee over our ankle. Just like half guard, we don't want to put it over our foot because it could slide off. We want it over our ankle and our foot locks it in. Grab your leg, grab his head, whichever one you want. Slow pull and squeeze. Let's try it. This is the triangle choke from closed guard. This is our last submission. It's going to take a little while. There were about 100 details just pointed out. So take your time. I'll be around to help.